Welcome back, guys. So, as you know, it's gonna be slow around this time. Everyone's at home and they're like all trying to buy games as well, so it's gonna be hard to do some hunting. So what I'm gonna do is show you guys some pickups that I got maybe a year back. This was a pretty good one, and I didn't get to put it up because I was just busy, and during the time I was filming I kind of lost some footage to some of these videos, so this will be one of those lost videos. This pickup was pretty good. So without further ado, I had picked up a bunch of Sega Dreamcast games, and I literally only had like, what, 5 Dreamcast? Well, I lied. I have 5 complete in box Dreamcast games and a bunch that are loose. So I saw on OfferUp that someone was selling like a stack of Dreamcast games, and they had put it up for $4 a piece. So I was like, you know what? I messaged the person, gave them an offer, and I said, how about give me what? All of them for $80, like that. So that's not bad because it's about 28 games I got, so that would have been like almost 120. So $40 off, I'm okay with that. I don't like to lowball the crap out of people because I know people gotta make their money too. So, because I know a lot of people on OfferUp are just ridiculous, man. So anyways, let's get started with what I got. So I did meet up with the person, and which I'll show you in some pics. I got a whole stack of just Dreamcast games, right? So good deal already, you would say, for all that. And they're pretty decent. They're all complete in box, which we'll get to. But after that, the lady had offered, while I met her up, she was like, hey, you know what? I got this Dreamcast right here as well. You know, like I got all this stuff right here. And, you know, I'm not going to do anything with it. So why don't you just take that as well? So she gave me like a Dreamcast, which I already have one, but who cares, you know? She gave it to me. So she gave me the Dreamcast, which I'll show you. Bam. And on top of that, it came with 5 controllers. So with all the cords, nothing missing. I've never seen these controllers before. I always thought they were generic, but I found out these were like actually, you know, like special, I don't know if it's special edition, but they were limited made controllers. They're called Millennium 2000 controllers. So I got 2 of those, and then on top of that, 3 other Dreamcast controllers. So I mean, you can't beat that. 5 controllers, and on top of that, 3 memory cards, or whatever you call it, VMUs or whatever. So I remember these were like, man, these were the shit back then, because you could join it together like this and play like Snake and all that stuff with it. So it was pretty cool. Sega was ahead of its time at the time. Like, they were doing stuff that no other company was doing. So I got 3 memory units. Probably had to change out the battery to these, which I was funny because the lady actually was like, hey, you probably need to change the battery out on these because they're old. But I'm like, yeah, I know. So bam, I got those. 2 extension cords on top of that, and then a you know, the AV cables. So it's been sitting in this box as is, because like I've got so much games piling up on the side I never got to really do videos for. So like I said, I'll post the OfferUp video, or I'll post up the OfferUp stuff, and there'll be evidence to show you I don't just make this crap up. I actually get the pickups, okay? So let's push that to the side. So yeah, I've got like, I'd say a Dreamcast could probably run for like 60 at its lowest, to, you know, even more. But with all these controllers, I think you could even sell like a Dreamcast for like 80, 90 bucks or more. So I mean, I got all that, so I basically was like, I bought all the games, and even if I sold that, I'd break even. Even if I sold these, I'd break even. So it's like, whichever way you want to go with it. But yeah, man, like, it's crazy. So sometimes you can get great deals just off of that. And you know, the ladies just, the son didn't play it. You know, the son don't play them anymore. He probably got older. So just like, let's get this stuff out of here. You know, like it's taking up room. So as if you can see in the pictures that like the games were dusty, it's still just as dusty because like even though it's been like a whole year, I haven't touched these games. Like sometimes I'll pick up games and I just store them on the side, don't even go through them. So I mean, since we're in these times, I'm watching everyone. They've got backups of videos and stuff they're making. Why not? I got backups of games, pickups, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna do it too, you know. So yeah. So like I said, like these games are still kind of dusty, man. So let's just get started. I got a little memory foam. Well, not memory foam. Microfiber right here. I can wipe them down, so it's cool. So anyways, I got 28 games. So 28 games, $80, under $2, under $3 a piece. That's not bad. So the first game I got was MTV skateboarding. So, you know, it's pretty much another Tony Hawk game type of game. It's made by THQ. Now, I'm not a big skateboarding fan, but I am a Tony Hawk fan. So I remember playing the first Tony Hawk and like that game was woo. See, stuff's falling out. I'm not even ready for what's happening right now. But I never even had to check the condition of these games. But yeah, they're in pretty decent condition. This one has like water spots on there, but it could be cleaned off with just a little spray. But it's complete. It's in condition. Only thing is like the case is kind of loose, so I do got to replace that. But CD cases are a dime a dozen, so that's not hard to find. They're not like Sega Saturn cases, man. Sega Saturn, that's tough to collect for. So yeah, I don't know anything about this MTV one. It's made by THQ. I guess it should be all right. I don't know any of these skaters, but they say I got 14 pro skaters in there. Andy McDonald, Scott Johnson, blah blah blah. So maybe like, you know, at the time, I don't know when this came out either. Because like when I got the Dreamcast, because I have a Dreamcast at home already, and I had bought a Dreamcast from a friend back in the days. Like this was maybe like during when they started discontinuing Dreamcast already. So I would say this was around like 2003. Had to be 2003. Yeah, bought it around that time. Bought it from a friend. I think I paid him like $80 for it, which is pretty funny. So he needed the money. So he had sold me the Dreamcast with like 2 controllers and a memory card and stack full of games. It was like games in like a CD case and all that. So, which is still sitting at my mom's place. So when I picked these up, I was like, well, you know what? I got all that over there. So having this over here, if I do, you know, intending on like playing it, I do want to get that Dreamcast HDMI thing, but I heard that is expensive, man. So one of these days I wanted to get that hooked up so I can play it HD, because I've seen the videos on it and they look damn good. But anyways, I'm deviating, so let's get to the next game, which is Spec Ops 2 Omega Squad. So I've only played one Spec Ops game in my whole life, which is like the one on PlayStation. However, they had so many Spec Ops games at the time, man. Pretty decent condition, complete in box, but I didn't like it. You know, like I felt like the controls were just too clunky for me. I was pretty spoiled when it came to these, like I wouldn't know how to call these, like I don't know, like military / espionage games, simulation games. Like I was spoiled to have played Siphon Filter, and so that game was so good that any other game that came out after that, like the Spec Ops game, they just felt like a third-rate game to me. So that was like, man, Siphon Filter was the shit. You know, Siphon Filter and Tenchu, those 2 games were like one of the first games I actually played, which were like stealthy games, which was hella fun. This was like before like I even got into Metal Gear Solid. So I'd say like those were the three at the time: Metal Gear Solid, Siphon Filter, and Tenchu. Those were like the three top stealth games for me back in the days. And it was funny because like I had all those games I had borrowed from like my brother's friend, and like that's how I got into it, because I could never like afford all those games back when I was young. So next up, Virtual Fighter. I welcome any fighter, man. I'm not a big fighter like gamer, but I like Virtual Fighter. I had a Sega Saturn. That was like one of my first disc-based systems. I even got that before PlayStation. So I got it as a bundle, and it came with Virtual Fighter. I think it was Virtual Fighter 2, right? So me and my brother used to play the shit out of this game, and we would crack up at it because, you know, like during the time, like they had the ring out system, and like if you hit like the ninja dude or some of the characters, like their freaking mask or their hat would fly off. So it would be funny. Like we'd just be like laughing because who will see whoever smacks the hat off of each other first, and that was our win. So I remember trying to, I could never beat this fool right here, Dural, this metal dude. Man, every time I got to the last level, like we could never beat him, man. He was too cheap. So I think he was like a secret boss that you would fight after you just beat the arcade. So he was hella cheap. Pretty decent condition, complete in box. I don't know what the hell. This is called Virtual Fighter 3 TB. So I don't know if this is a Virtual Fighter 3. Yeah, it is Virtual Fighter 3 then, right? Yeah, because I never played this one. I've only played Virtual Fighter 4 after that, which was on PS2, I believe. So, and then Virtual Fighter 5 was on PS3. So I played those, but I skipped one. Anyways, next up, Sega GT. Is this the same thing? Oh, this is like, yeah, I never even like got into Sega GT like that. But it's complete. I guess they have one on Xbox as well. So Xbox got a lot of the Dreamcast like games that came out later that would have been like, you know, sequels. This one, somebody I guess replaced the case, so it's not clear, but like I said, these are easy fixes. I never really played Sega GT. I played Sega Rally Championship back in Sega Saturn days, but that was about it. So, but this game is worth $2.99 already, so I basically paid a decent price for it, right? So, next up, Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. Now this has a little cracked case, but like I said, the cases are an easy fix, man. Like I'm not even tripping about those. It's in good condition. I can see why, because Tomb Raider was hard as hell. Like if you were like a young kid trying to play Tomb Raider, it wasn't an easy game to play. I didn't care what anyone said. Like for me, I always thought Tomb Raider was just difficult, man. Maybe because it was like I was too young to solve the puzzles and all that. The case don't want to close. Hopefully I didn't break nothing doing that. But anyways, whatever. So yeah, Tomb Raider: Last Revelation, that's supposed to be the fourth Tomb Raider, I believe, or was it the fifth? I forget. Well, anyways, I remember having this or borrowing this from my brother's friend on PlayStation. He had a bootleg copy that he got from Hong Kong, so we was trying to play it, and I could never beat like that game, man. If I did, I would have to do like the level skips, because there are certain things that were just hella tough in that game. So I've never been a Tomb Raider fan until like the newer ones that came out, like the reboot. That was fun. But I never got to. Well, actually, no. I played Tomb Raider Legend, so I liked it when it started to get into the newer like Xbox 360 and all that, those generations. Then I started enjoying Tomb Raider. But on PlayStation 1, I didn't really enjoy it as much. At the same time, it was kind of scary. You know, T-Rex would chase after you and stuff, so I don't know. But yeah, those who played the Tomb Raider, you know, that's for eye candy anyways, you know. NBA 2K. I remember these, the 2K series. This was like, man, like, I would say 2K was more, let's see, because there was a Live, right? NBA Live, and then there was 2K. Now I don't even see any basketball games anymore. I think 2K was more the arcade style, and then Live was like the more of the official type of game. This has Allen Iverson in the front cover, I believe. Yep, that was a thing back then. Like, man, when this came out, Allen Iverson was like at the top of his game, and like, you know, everyone had his shoes and everything. Like, he was doing his thing, but you know, he went ahead and dropped off. But I never really played sports games when I was young, so I didn't get to enjoy it. But I believe like later on, like the 2K series took off, man. Later on, like 360 era. Like back then, you would only buy 2K if you couldn't afford Live, you know. But back then you would get the Live. But later on in the years, probably 07, around there, 06, 07, 2K started to take over, and they became like the better series. They became more realistic. So they became like the not so arcade type of basketball, and Live kind of switched around from that point. From as far as I know, I'm not a big sports dude, but I just knew that era of games. So yeah, next game that is up is Quake 3 Arena. Now, there's a big cult following for Quake. So it's like I was never into the Quake. I always got a headache playing the Quake games, man. Like, there was just too much shit going on. The colors were just like too bright, and you're moving around too fast, so it gave me headaches, man. Like, I could play a decent amount of first-person shooters, but this particular game just, I don't know, just the way, the handling. And that was a lot of the ID soft games, man. Like Doom, I couldn't really play that either. I do want to play the newer Doom games, but yeah, Quake 3 Arena. This is popular, man. This is the game people used to always talk about this, because this is one of the most popular like first-person shooter / multiplayer games. This was like the Halo of its time. Like, if you weren't playing Counter-Strike, you was playing Quake, man. So yeah, good to have. Next up, Daytona. Remember that? So, like I said, I haven't played none of these games. I never even got to bust them out because I didn't really play my Dreamcast a lot back then. I just bought it just because. So, Daytona USA pretty much is like a rehash, or you know, they ported it over to the Dreamcast, so it should have better graphics than the Sega Saturn version. Man, Sega Saturn Daytona USA was another game that came for free with the Sega Saturn, which was great, man. Like, during the time, I think when we got the Sega Saturn, they started bundling everything together. I don't know how late we were in the game, because a lot of times my mom would buy us the systems when it got a lot cheaper. So they had bundled up the Sega Saturn with like 3 games, which was Daytona USA, what was it? Virtual Fighter and Virtual On or something like that. And I think it came with Virtual Cop as well, and Sega Rally Championship. So I know all those games I got were free games because my mom had bought two Sega Saturns during the time, and I think maybe it was like that you get to pick the 3 games. I don't know, something like that. But I know we got like those games I just named for free, and Daytona was one of them. And we played the hell out of this game. like I don't even like indie car racing type of like, you know, the racing that's like just a track racing like these. But this game was fun during the times, and you would always see this at every arcade. You know, it would be like 8-player Daytona arcades. Everyone was playing this, man. And the soundtrack, man, that's what made you want to play the game. Like, if anything, this was like one of the first games that had like a good ass soundtrack to make you want to play. Because racing games, man, they could get pretty boring, man. So you gotta have the right soundtrack for it, man. So next game up is Test Drive v Rally. I've never been a fan of the Test Drive series. I believe I don't remember which one I played, but I played them on PlayStation, and I didn't like the rally games, man. So I mean, they had a bunch of different Test Drive games, but I never liked like the controls to the Test Drive games. I didn't feel like they were tight enough. They were kind of like, I don't know, they skid around too much for me, and I like my racing to be more like tight in the turning, so, you know, Midnight Club, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, it's in perfect condition. It's good to have. I did get a lot of like sports type of games in this, but I didn't care. Like Dreamcast, there's only about like 260 games on Dreamcast, so it's like, at least if I don't have much games for it, if I even got this much, bam, there goes 15% of the games I just got all in one, right? Didn't have to look for them. So next up, another sports game, NHL 2K. So 2K was cranking out a lot of games, especially for Sega. They had like almost every sports game on there. They were like exclusive at one point, I believe. Damn, no, dude didn't even touch it, man. Maybe this was one of those free games, I don't know. So dude never even touched this game. And I guess I could see why, man. Hockey is boring as fuck. There's a good ass cult following, but there's a cult following for everything. And to me, man, only time I fucking watch hockey is just watch them fight, man. So did they have a fighting system in the game? So I mean that's one incentive, but it's just, that was not a game I could play, man. So I don't know. I mean, I got a game out of it. Who cares? So the next one is Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX. And this was pretty much the Tony Hawk of bike. Damn, this game is untouched either, man. So it's in perfect condition. I think I only played Dave Mirra on a demo. And like I said, it played very much like the Tony Hawk game. So, not much to say about it. I was never a fan of the BMX games. I mean, I give it to them for what they put themselves through. Anyways, next up. This is Ready to Rumble Boxing. I think this is round 2. Yep. So, I don't think I played round 2. Damn, the case is kind of janky, but it's alright. You know, that's what happens. Like, these jewel cases, they never last because, like, you would put them to hell. Damn, this game is in perfect condition. Like, I don't think dude played any of these games after a certain time period. But then again, if you're like me, I don't fuck up my disc either, so it depends. My rule is don't let nobody borrow stuff. That way you won't get your games fucked up. Because you know how there was always the bastards that borrowed your game, never returned it. Or if it comes back, looks like a freaking dog played frisbee with it or something like that. So that's why I never let people borrow stuff, man. Let them borrow this now. So it's like I didn't want to really borrow from you because I don't want to be like obligated to like return your game in 2 weeks, because I do like to play games on my own time. So I'd rather just wait and buy the game, so I have it as my own. So that's how I became like more of a collector. Let's see. So Ready to Rumble Boxing, I actually played the crap out of the first one on PlayStation. Yeah, PlayStation. And I had a great time with this game. Afro Thunder right here. I remember him right in the front cover. And I remember the second one I didn't get to play, but I know they had like all the crazy ass like characters. Like Michael Jackson is actually in this game. I think they have Billy C. Clinton or Bill Clinton in this game as well, which is hilarious. So that's how you know Bill Clinton was a popular president. Like you don't see Obama in the game, you know. You might see Donald Trump in it, but you didn't see George Bush in the game. But Bill Clinton was like in wrestling games. He was in basketball games. Like you name it, man. That's how you know he was a popular president, man. So, anyways, yeah, the first one I played the hell out of, and I liked the game, because I didn't really like get into the boxing stuff at the time, but this game probably started the whole boxing customization that you get in. Well, you don't see boxing games nowadays, but like when Fight Night and all that came out, where you know it allowed you to like level up your character, boost up their speed and power and all that. So Ready to Rumble was about that. It was more cartoonish characters and all that, and they did like outlandish things, but like they let you train and get your character stronger, so like you could pretty much knock your character out in a couple punches. So that's what I liked about the game. Like I always like games where if you play and you get to like level them up, customize them, and just get them to be where you're at. And I played the hell out of the first one. Never got to round 2 because I was still a broke kid at the time. And the funny thing was I borrowed Ready to Rumble. And that was like during the times when it was like 6th grade or something like that, when I actually let people borrow stuff. And my neighbor, that fool was like the reason why I don't let people borrow stuff, because like dude would never return my stuff. It would take him like half a year. Oh man, I lost it. I gotta find it, man. You know how people would just come up with excuses all the time because they weren't finished with the game. And when he brought it back, man, the game be all messed up. So like, I'd be like, nah, can't let you borrow no more. He'd be like, why not, man? Come on, man. Why you being like that for? I was like, man, you be fucking up my game, man. Can't let you borrow that shit. But when I return your game back to you, that shit's just as fucked up as you left it. Because when he let me borrow that shit, his shit used to skip and all that. Like I would have to go through everything to like get his game, you know, running. Like we would have to like put some alcohol in it. This is why people fuck up games. Because when you're a kid, this is how you fucking handled your games when it was like all fucked up and greasy and shit. Like, motherfucker, man, your shirt just scratched up on my whole fucking game, man. You know? So yeah, that's why you don't let kids borrow your shit, man. But anyways, enough about that. Had fun with the game. Game was funny as hell. So, next game up is 18-wheeler. I don't know nothing about these 18-wheeler games. Big Mother Trucker was another one of them. But I guess this one's kind of scratched up, but you know, kid must have liked his 18-wheeler rigs. But let's see. So you're basically just like, I don't know if you're racing. I guess you're like, yeah, you're loading up cargo and you're crashing your way through stuff. Okay. Almost like Demolition Derby, but on the road with rigs. So it looks like it could be fun. But you know, when I was young, and I was I wasn't a violent kid, but I really liked violent things. So, cause then I didn't turn out to be a serial killer or something, huh? But I always liked really violent games. So mature games were the only games I bought. If I were able to like pull out my PlayStation collection, it would probably be all mature games and RPGs. So a lot of those too. Hardly did I get any like teen or everyone games. Not till later. Le Mans. Oh, I didn't get to show you. I got sidetracked. So Test Drive Le Mans. Like I said, I didn't really like the Test Drive game because like I don't like Formula One. I don't like track racing games. They were just a little bit dull for me. You know, I like street racing games. Probably because like, you know, I grew up on Initial D and all that stuff. So great condition. I couldn't tell you much about this game. I know Test Drive was pumping out games like EA did Need for Speed, basically. They were neck to neck when it came to like stuff like that. So, yeah. Alright. But I do like my racing games though. Oh shit. Man, that's the only thing about these games, man. You didn't handle them well. Like, all my games are good. So I just need to like go to the thrift store and like get a bunch of these jewel cases and replace them. Brand spanking new. But anyways, next one's Four Wheel Thunder. Off-road, I could care less about this monster truck stuff. Every time I think about like off-road and stuff, I think about that Nintendo game. OG Nintendo. It's in alright condition. And then we would play off-road, and that game was like hella cheap. Like, I never got first place in that game because the computers were just hella cheap, you know. So you just have that game on OG NES. But yeah, that's why it turned me off to it. Now here's something that I freaking loved as a kid when it came to like blood, guts, gore, all that stuff. The famous Mortal Kombat Gold Edition. So haven't played this one, but this pretty much is the Mortal Kombat trilogy, I believe. So yeah, it's supposed to be like Mortal Kombat trilogy that came out on PlayStation, and then they added like new levels and all that stuff to it. But Mortal Kombat, man, was my shit. I loved Mortal Kombat back when I was young. This one, oh man, you gotta clean it a little bit. It has a little grease on there. Eventually I'll get to that. Got like juice on there and stuff. It's kind of sticky. As long as it's not the sticky that I fucking think it is, then we're good. Nah, I think it's like some label or something. Anyways, so Mortal Kombat was my shit back then. I remember, like, you know, that was one of the first games that came out that was like all about blood and gore and all that, fatalities, all that stuff. So my thing about Mortal Kombat was like, I had some childhood friends. They were my dad's friends' sons. So we'd go to their place, and they had I think they had Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo. And so they got all the good stuff. Like, we didn't have shit when we were kids. When everyone had like frickin' Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, we were still playing like Atari and regular OG NES. So it's like we were always like a couple years back. So it was like how I got a lot of games was like hand-me-downs and stuff. Like the Nintendo was a hand-me-down from my older cousin. So we always got stuff late. So by the time when we saw stuff, it was always like we see it at like friends' place. And so went over there, and I remember they had Mortal Kombat. Man, when we played that, I was like, damn! I was probably like every other kid at that time, where we're like, damn! You never expect a game to like freaking just uppercut a dude's head off, you know, like all that crazy stuff. But I mean, that was the thing to hype for. And it was like the same time, you know, it was supposed to be like a mature rated game. So, you know, you always wanted to have what people didn't want you to play back then. That's how it is. And I remember, man, I didn't get my Mortal Kombat game till Sega Saturn, because I had gotten a Sega Saturn while everyone had a PlayStation. So it's funny, like I said, like I was always behind. Because no one really had Sega Saturn, so it's like no one could really trade me shit. So like we couldn't really play much. But I love my Sega Saturn. That's still one of my favorite systems though. But I remember, yeah, Mortal Kombat. I got Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 for the Sega Saturn. I think I got that for my birthday from my mom. Bought that at the Stonestown Galleria up in San Francisco. That was one of the best spots to buy games back then. Like it was a privilege to go there. I still go there to this day for nostalgia reasons. But yeah, at that time it was like Electronics Boutique. Remember that? That was one of my favorite game stores, was Electronics Boutique. After that, like, those EB Games and GameStop took over and just fucked it up. Anyways, so when I got that, like, you would never know how to do the fatalities unless you had the guidebook. Back then, it was essential to have a guidebook, man, because if you didn't, there was no internet. Only the rich kids had internet, man. I remember I used to save up like a quarter or something like that and give it to this white kid, you know, to like get me some cheats, to print me out some cheats for games like Twisted Metal and stuff. And be like, hey man, I'll give you a quarter if you print me out this game. And I give him a quarter and he'll print me that shit out. So it was like, man, he was charging me more than the fucking 10 cents, 5 cents at the freaking computer store today, you know? He was making bank off my ass. So yeah, who cares? It's a quarter I found on the ground anyway, so whatever. So yeah, I mean, that was my thing with Mortal Kombat. I could do a whole series on Mortal Kombat, but that's gonna take up too much time. So next game, before I get carried away, is it's not a sports game. It's Championship Surfer. So not my type of cup of tea. Dude didn't even touch none of these games. I think like maybe like, you know, the mom was like my mom. You know, just go to the thrift store or some shit and just like pick up a couple games that's hella cheap and just be like, here, got you a game. And that's probably what happened. Like, fuck. So he never even touched it. The only time he touched it was to pick up and look at the cover and put it away. So that's probably kind of like me as well. It's a surfing. It's a surf game. I'm not big on surfing, man. So whatever. It's good to have. Like I said, I don't mind having the games for Dreamcast because, like I said, it's very low. There's only like I said, 200 some games on Dreamcast, so might as well. If I were to do a full collection, it would probably be Dreamcast, but that's expensive now. Next game, here it is, man. This is it. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. So I had first gotten Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and was playing that. Woo! Fell in love with the game. The game was so funny. And back then, like, it was funny because like you would just like, if you fall off and scrape yourself, like you would see blood and all that stuff. So I loved it, man. The soundtrack, good ass soundtrack, man. During the time, like, I didn't even listen to like white boy music at the time. You know, I was like hip hop and all that stuff. But like, if you ask me, like, this probably pounded some of those songs in my head. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's up. So Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, I didn't get to play until it was on PC. So I remember like this kid had the same last name as me too. This kid in middle school, he would like, you know how like in school you get to use like the school computer after like you got free time and shit. So dude would like finish all his work and he had like installed Tony Hawk 2 on I believe it was like a couple of the computers on because there was about 6 computers in that class and he had like installed the games on those computers. So when he would go on the break, get that extra free time because he did his work fast, he'd be on there just jamming out and be like, oh, what the fuck, man? How you do that? Like, how you installed it? So he like showed me how to install the game. So I was at home trying to do it and the shit wouldn't run on my fucking computer. I was hella mad because, like I said, I was the last to get everything, man. From the computer and shit, I had like a slow ass computer. It couldn't play the shit. So like back then I could never get anything running till like I knew a friend that sold me like a graphic card or something like that and told me that's how you get it to work. And even so, man, I remember when I was sold the graphics card, my computer was so old. It was like taking AGP graphics cards and dude sells me a fucking PCI Express and I'm like, fuck. So it was always like that for me. But anyways, Tony Hawk, you don't need any explanations. This is a great game. 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. Great games. 1 and 2 were my favorites. And like they just announced that they did a remaster of 1 and 2. I'm picking that up. I'm picking it up. That's my shit. So I don't like Skate because I think it's too technical. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater, that's my shit. So hopefully they do it right, because like I haven't played that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 that came out, but that was like a piece of shit. I remember my coworker was like, man, I was missing some Tony Hawk. So I seen that they got Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, so I bought it on the Xbox, whatever. And he was like, man, that game was garbage. And I went home, I looked at the fucking graphics, and it was like, it looked like a PS2 graphic game, which was on an Xbox One or PS4 system. And you're like, what the fuck were they thinking? You know, if you're gonna do that, just rehash Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 or 2 and throw it back on there, you would have made more money. But they already had made an HD version, but now they remastered it with like Call of Duty looking ass graphics. Shit. Call of Duty Hawk Pro Skater? Fuck, man, I'm playing that when it comes out. So, yeah. Next game, here it is. Was not popular at all back in the days, but this is UFC Fighting Championship. So this is during like the 90s, I think, or early 2000s. And UFC, no one really cared about UFC like that. Everyone was into boxing. So like this was one of those games like you would pick up just for budget reasons. I don't know. Look, 2001, this game was going for $19.99. So I don't know what store this was at. Sometimes I like to keep these old labels on there just because. So, oh shit. So they got what's his name on there? I remember him. So this 2001. Tito Ortiz, that's who it is. So like, I guess this is starting to gain momentum at the time. See, I see like Chuck Liddell in there. So like, it was starting to gain momentum, but it wasn't as big until like boxing started to die out and UFC started getting like hella popular. But yeah. Never really played those games. I usually play like SmackDown and all that stuff. Here it is, MSR, Metropolis Street Racer. Apologize for my shitty enunciation. Anyways, so this is probably something I would pick up. This was like a Tokyo Extreme Racer to me. So it's made by Bizarre Creations. So it could be good. Like the graphics look pretty good in this game. So street racing games, that's my shit. Like, I guess you grow. It's good ass condition, man. Dude missed out. He didn't play this game, huh? I'm gonna play it. So, and they got like real cars in there and stuff too. But like, I don't know. I guess when you grow up in like Asian community, well, I didn't grow up in like all Asian community, but like you grow up like around Asian people, like, you know, they're all into the tuner cars and all that shit. I wasn't really into it. Like I never had a tuner car in my life, but it was like, you know, it was stuff you appreciated. So it's like, of course you're gonna be into like Tokyo Drift, you know, scene and all that stuff, because who wants a drag race? You know, just going straight. You know, so they always made it seem like, all right, man, you know, fucking Tokyo Drift shit, man, the tuner shit, that's better. That's better. Because like we do more shit, you know? So, but it's always been like a competition. Anyways, here's another game. Extreme Sports. Now I don't know if this is the same as, nah, it can't be. 3 Extreme, that was my shit. That snowboarding game, see, hasn't been touched. So like I said, it's another one of those games that haven't been touched. Picked it up probably on the fly. But here, I got you another game, man, for your good grades or some shit. Whatever. Dude, just like, fuck. Where's my Shenmue at, man? I don't want to play this fucking extreme shit. I want my Shenmue. You know, I want my fucking Soul Calibur. Where's that at? But nope. And I get it. You know, parents not gonna spend like $50 on a fucking game for your ass, man. Shoot, what if you're working at Mickey D's or something like that and they gotta take care of your ass? I mean, how they gonna fucking do shit? Anyways, Demolition Racers. There's a lot of these like off-brand games, what I like to call them. So, Demolition Derby type of game. Demolition Racer No Exit. I will bet that this game has been untouched as well. It was so snug. Alright, this game got a little bit of touch, so, but it's still pretty good condition. Yeah. Couldn't tell you much about this game either. But I guess it's cool. Good to have. Next up. Oh, San Francisco Rush 2049, man. Woo! You know why I like this game? Because, you know, I lived in San Francisco. It's got some use out of it. And at the same time, so, you know, the maps were like, you got Golden Gate Bridge on there and all that stuff, Transamerica Tower. Got the Exploratorium up in there. So, you know, I'm looking at the back. It got some pretty cool stuff. I never like remembered too much about the game, but like during the time, this was like always at the arcade. Like, man, forget Daytona USA. You would play this because it was way faster. It was street. You know, this was like the best version of Cruisin' USA and all those cruising games, man. I don't know if they're by the same creators. They look very similar to the Cruisin' series. But San Francisco Rush, man, that was like the arcade game. They still have it at casinos at arcades to this day. And man, it was hella fun playing against people on the arcades, dude. I don't think there was a racing game that was like this until, like, you know, Mario Kart, all that stuff came out. But like, this was like, to me, was like the Mario Kart of its times. Like, you actually got, you know, you got a thrill off of playing this particular game in the arcades. That could just be me though. Anyways, next up, so definitely good to have. I do want to revisit it. Here it is, man. Here it is. Told you I like these type of games, but BAM! GTA 2 Grand Theft Auto DOS. So, who didn't want Grand Theft Auto, man? I mean, damn. This was my game. This right here was worth the money in itself. So, decent condition. But it's like, man, this is probably when the kid begged the shit out of his parents to get this game, man. This was like never going down in price. But I'm happy to just get this game, honestly. So, I remember a lot about Grand Theft Auto, man. I remember first, I don't know, borrowing it from a friend, I believe. Yeah, I borrowed it from a friend, also with the same last name as me. And I was like, what kind of fucking game is this? Walking down, and it was the first one. Like, what the fuck? Just like farting and burping and shit. And like the first Grand Theft Auto was unbeatable, man. That shit was hard. It's hard as shit, but it was fun because like we would just go on a rampage. You know, like most Grand Theft Auto players, like when they're bored, goes on a rampage. But that particular game was just the game to go on a rampage with. And then Grand Theft Auto 2 came out after that. And so I think we had like gotten a bootleg copy. And we were playing it. And it was hella funny, dude. This game was so freaking fun. And then like, because you got to learn about the gangs and all that stuff, and they had like the Yakuza up in there, but they were like called the Zaibatsu or some shit like that. I'm about to say it's Mishima, but that was Tekken. But I mean, it's a fun game, man. Mindless, fun game. So, Grand Theft Auto, dude. And they made the London one too, which is pretty funny as well. But these are fun games, which I do want to get back to because they were just hilarious, man. There was no game like this at the time. You know, it was like a sandbox. It was like one of the first few sandbox games around. They revolutionized it. But when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, it came out of nowhere. Like when that game came out, man, like, dude, I remember seeing like GTA 3 like posters or something like that, or like the ad on the back of game covers. I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, when's that coming out? And it would never tell you when it's coming out. It'd just be like fall or something like that. And so by the time it came out, we didn't even know. So it's like me and my brother was at the mall. We got this ghetto mall, Bay Fair. They had a KB Toys in there, right? And it was just sitting right there. And we're like, oh shit, Grand Theft Auto? Oh! And then like we fucking pulled every dollar out of our pocket to try and like see if we could pick it up. And then we picked it up. And when we did, ooh man, we played the shit out of Grand Theft Auto, man. It was so crazy. Shoot. I think when we picked it up, no one even knew about Grand Theft Auto like that. Like, we knew about it, but not too much people knew about Grand Theft Auto during the time. So it kind of like when we picked it up, we're like, oh shit, Grand Theft Auto, and then everyone else started playing it as well. So we played the shit out of it. It's funny, man. We used to sneak to play that game because like we got bad report cards. So like, you know, we got our PlayStation took away and stuff like that. But we knew how to get the PlayStation back because they hid it in the spot we knew. So we would like grab the fucking PlayStation while like, you know, mom's at work and all that shit, and we'll plug it in. You know, we'll plug it in and we'll play because we knew when they came back. So it's like, ah, shit, we're coming. Oh shit, turn off the fucking game, wrap that shit up, throw it back into the motherfucking closet or whatever, and act like nothing happened. It'll be hilarious, man. It'll be so funny. But yeah. Anyways, next game. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, the first one. Honestly, this is my favorite one because like 2 was good too. Graphics got better in the game. But I think like what I liked about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, damn, it's in good ass condition. He probably didn't even play. Now, how do you not play Tony Hawk? Anyways, so when Tony Hawk 1 came out, like you could do the grind and all that stuff. You could do unlimited grind. I forgot which one. It was like maybe 3 was one I didn't like. But when they made that grinding thing a balanced thing, I didn't like it, man. I like to just do unlimited grind so I could do combos all day and all that shit. But like they took that away. I guess they may have try to make it more realistic, but I didn't like it like that, man. So that's why I always like this one. I like my skating game to be more arcade-like, man. I don't care for the realism when it comes to that stuff. So if I do, I'll play skate, you know. But fun times, man. Tony Hawk, great game. I'm wondering, like, man, if I should play this just to brushing up. So when the actual like remake comes out, I'll be like, yeah. Anyways, Test Drive 6. So Test Drive's always been famous for the Dodge Viper. They usually have that on all the freaking, you know, covers. But I guess this is more of the street version. Like this one I always looked at and thought it would have been good, but I hardly bought racing games because I didn't think there was value in racing games like that. Like unless you had time to play with people, decent condition. And like, you know, I would play with my brother a lot back then, but later on he started doing his own thing, so it's like really not much to play with, you know, until I started like hanging out with my cousin and stuff. Anyways, that's Test Drive for you. Good to have. So there's like 3 Test Drive games I got. This one is MDK2, and I never understood this game, man. I remember like the first MDK, I would read it on a GamePro magazine, and I'd be like, what the fuck is this thing? Like, what's this fucking pterodactyl looking ass motherfucker in the cover? Like, what's up with this game? So I never understood it. It just looked like too weird of a game for me to pick up. It never like, you know, freaking just called out to me like that. So I couldn't tell you. Let me see what the hell this is first. It says run and gun. I'm into run and gun. Solve puzzles, create deadly weaponry, sneak, snipe, shoot. So I don't know. I guess it's like an adventure / shooter puzzle game. But yeah, I don't know anything about it, man. I didn't even know they had a part 2. I just remember part 1. Anyways, here's the final game coming up. Fight this up a little bit so you guys can see. Crazy Taxi! So, everyone, I don't need to explain this game. Everyone knows Crazy Taxi, man. So, I actually have, this is a good ass condition, but I actually have Crazy Taxi already. So I had a good time playing the crap out of this game when I had when I was playing Dreamcast. So, because it came with the, got the Dreamcast with Crazy Taxi from the friend. But this one's complete. So eventually I gotta go back home to my mom's place after all this virus shit is over with and just pick up some of my old stuff I got back at home. Cause this isn't even all the stuff I have, man. But that's the final game. It's Crazy Taxi. Everyone knows it's a fun ass game. You know, it's one of the first of its kind. Picking up people and is this game? I always thought Crazy Taxi was made by Rockstar for a second, but no, it's a Sega game. Because like in Grand Theft Auto, when they started doing those taxi machines, I was like, this is just like Crazy Taxi. So, but yeah, I mean, the game was always fun. It's always good for its time. And I'm not sure, was there an arcade of Crazy Taxi? I think there was, but I might be just on something, man. But nah, I mean, I got it on PlayStation 2 as well, but Dreamcast is the way to play. That is the way. Like Crazy Taxi, if you had a Dreamcast and you didn't have Crazy Taxi, something was wrong with you. Like the 2 games you had to have was like Sonic Adventure or Sonic Adventure 2 and Crazy Taxi, which I had both. So, but yeah, those are the games you had to have at least on Sega. But that is the sum of this whole collection right here, which is like, damn, dude, $80. Got all this stuff for it, you know. So sometimes you can find good stuff like this, but lately, man, I've been missing out on a lot of good finds because, like I said, it's harder to find games in these quarantine times. Everyone's at home doing it, so like the game, like whatever they post up could be like 10 minutes in, bam, if you're not on it, somebody else is already jumping on it. So I've been trying, but I haven't been finding too much things online, man, which is disappointing. But you know what? It's all right. I wonder, like, why are they broke, you know? Why are they not broke, man? Shit. But anyways, so this makes up the games that I got. I do have a couple. I have a crap more other stuff I want to post up. Like, I have like a PSP one that I did, and like the video like ran out of battery, so I was talking to myself for an hour. So which I gotta like probably rectify in the later on in the times. So, you know, stay tuned for other pickups. Like I said, these are old pickups, which I'll say and display, so you guys aren't getting your hopes up, getting mad at me because I'm finding good shit and you guys not just playing because I can't find shit right now. But yeah, I mean, why not? Other people are doing old videos of foods and reviews and all that stuff, so here I am. All right, well, thank you for watching the pickups again. If you like what you see, like and subscribe, and I'll see you the next time. Laters.